Yeah, what's up, kings and queens? We're back again, and as usual, we're going to the main case just to see what sense can we make out of it. Now, I ain't been with you for a while, for probably 2, 3, 4 days. There's a reason for that. The reason is simple. Reason is these two witnesses who are here, Mrs. Falyun Khrobelar or whatever. It's like it's two names, and then Mr. Antini. They're not bringing anything concrete to the table. They are not bringing anything that is tangible to the case. Uh, you know, we're going to talk about that in this today, and we're going to talk about the behavior of the judge. Before we do that, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that when we drop more content like this, you are in the loop. Let's get into it. Now, what is surprising about the judge is the judge is going to let this hearsay, opinion, verification, we don't know what they call it, without any documentation. These guys decided to do verification, confirmation, whatever they're calling it, opinion giving, microscopic opinion, whatever they call it. They decided to give this, and then they decided that I'm going to stand in court and testify on this. But no notes, no notes, no official document, nothing. So it seems like these people, like they're just freestyling. They're just making things up along as they go. Uh, it's normal to them to just for an expert and an analyst, whatever they call them, mangena, to go and pick up a gun from a police station and come and work on it and keep it in his safe for whatever time. Even when there are these two people who are giving opinion, when they are being questioned, okay, have you ever differed with mangena? They don't know. They can't remember because obviously it's like the system, the way it's set up for them to always corroborate each other. Now, understand this. Rata is making it worse for the state because he keeps dropping these suggestions to Baloyi, and Baloyi picks them up, and then it blows up in their face, and then in the end, they want to blame the defense. You see, Rata is the one who was interested in calling these two people. Then he decided later uh, he will call them after the expert of the defense has given evidence. They decided no, and then he decided no, he's going to patch it in. He decided no, Palo, can read in those statements, right, into record. But now, apparently, those statements, it is not clear who ordered those statements to be made. But that lady said it's Baloi. Baloi ordered her to make the statement. So, Baloi is the one who ordered. Is it not the commander who's her commander or somebody who's superior to her at her job who's supposed to be giving those orders? Because Rata was trying to say, uh, the court, the lady said, the court can, unless I didn't have any official documentation made, unless the court orders me to bring one, right? And then the judge said, uh, we didn't, like her statement is a legal document, right? Whatever was requested from her, whatever she presented in court already, it's a legal document. Means she wanted to know, are you saying now that because it's a legal document, you are already excluding my question about the legality of that? Arata said, no, I'm just saying it's because it's a legal statement. So that means Rata accepts whatever that deed is bringing, with or without any proof, right? Then Munisi told her, no, if it's like that, it's still fine. Rata then decided to come back and realize, no, I made a mistake here. The court can't order that lady. That's what Rata said. The court can't order a witness to proffer that statement, whatever she did here. We have no right. We have no, that's not in our power. Then Mrs. told him, yeah, that is the reason I'm talking about, the legality of this. Who ordered this lady to make that statement? Mr. Muniz will argue it, I guess, at the end. But the funny thing is, if Baloi, Rata, and the people who are trying to crook the case, even Linamnisi, who is just unbelievable with this latest analyst, who is just bonkers talking garbage. They're just losing over some facts and then giving us their twisted facts, right? Now, if these people were just expecting us, the public, to stay dumb, we don't know these laws, we don't know these procedures, I would accept it. But are you telling me that they are also expecting their colleagues, Mnisi, Mr. Mgomezulu, and all these people, Shololo, Ramsepiri, and Numan, are you telling me that they're expecting them to not also see their stupidity, their mistakes, the many mistakes that they are bringing? There's nothing that the case, like in this case, that the state has brought that has ever been concrete. Nothing. Every time they bring in something comes up that totally tell us, no, we can't trust this case that the state is bringing. And we are supposed to be rooting for the state. We are supposed to, by law, by right, as human beings, we're supposed to be rooting for the state because we don't want crime, right? But now, if the people we are trusting can't even execute their jobs properly under the laws that govern them, that they expect us to obey, yet they don't obey them, I think Rata is ready for this appeal because he keeps bringing it up. He keeps talking about appeal. I mean, is it right for a judge to talk about appeal? You can take me on appeal. Is it right for that? Isn't that construed as bias? I mean, if I was looking for a judge to buy a case from, not saying I'll do it. If I was looking for a judge to give a brown envelope, I wouldn't choose a judge like that. He's making it obvious what he's going to decide. Anyway, guys, I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm going to leave you with the video of this guy, this doctor, just analyzing the strayas so that you can understand what is a straya, what is a groove, what is a ridge, what is that spiral that they're talking about, and then what are those strayas that are made, those lands, those valleys, so that you can see for yourself. I'll let it run, and then maybe I'll try and make a little voiceover at the end. Peace. Let's meet in the next video. One love.
So here I'm going to go over bullet analysis because typically this may be found at the crime scene. And how do you go about analyzing this? And what do you kind of look for in the bullet? And also I'll cover the cartridge just for a little bit because there are some similar markings. So first off, the bullet anatomy is important to understand. First off, the bullet remembers the actual projectile. So it's actually the point that's being fired. The case is the holding container. The powder, the charge, is the source of the explosion energy. The primer is the igniter. That's what initiates the process. The wad for shotgun shells is a plastic separator between the pellets and the powder. We see that located here. Note this is present in shotgun shell blanks and can potentially be deadly at close range. So even if you have a shotgun shell blank, meaning it doesn't contain any bullets, the water, that plastic portion, does come out of the barrel with quite some force, and if you're in close range, that can be deadly. So don't think, again, that a shotgun shell blank is necessarily not deadly. That wad can definitely, if it impacts someone, can definitely cause death. Now the rifling. So when we're talking about a bullet, we want to be thinking about the rifling of the barrel that it's traveling through. So in firearms, that rifling is that helical kind of grooves that are machined in the interior or bore surface of the gun's barrel. So we see the barrel here, we see a cutaway, a nice little cutaway located right over here. You can see that rifling. That rifling causes the bullet to spin the projectile around the longitudinal axis during shooting to help it stabilize. It's kind of like throwing a spiral on a football. But when it goes through this, kind of travels here at a very high rate of speed, it is spinning, there is going to be some markings that do occur. So looking at gun barrel rifling, well, traditionally sharpened lands and grooves are replaced by less pronounced hills and valleys, so the barrel bore has a kind of polygonal or hexagonal or octagonal cross-section profile. You kind of see here 8 conventional groove rifling on the left and octagonal polygon rifling on the right. So there are some slight differences that can occur, but these differences, if you know how to look and identify them, can help you correlate or match up the potential barrel that was fired from that bullet traveled through. There's also something called Glock rifling, which is some weapons, Glock pistols is just a name brand, do not make usable striation patterns on fired bullets because they use that polygonal rifling instead of the conventional rifling. So one group of 8 consecutive matching striae in agreement would be considered a matching evidence for tool marks for this type of rifling. Basically, you're going to have a little different pattern that's going to be developing because of the type of bore that this rifling kind of has. So it's going to be a little different set of rules or a little different ways to be able to match those bullets up to that particular barrel. Now the firing pin and ejection mark. So again, I know we're getting a little bit away from the bullet here, but if you find the bullet and you find the gun, you could find the casing as well of that cartridge. So the firing pin here and where A is pointing to, that leaves an impression when it strikes the primer. It's kind of the hammer point where it strikes the casing cartridges of the rim and of rim-fired cartridges. So this would be, again, a center-fired casing here, cartridge, so this would be important to kind of identify. If it was rim fired, it'd be off to the side. Now you might be looking at B saying, well, why is it, if it's the center fired, why is there a marking here? Well, B is referring to the ejection mark. They're caused when the cartridges are ejected from the firearm and can be used to confirm passage through the firearm if found at the crime scene. And we also have chamber marks. So these are found throughout the outer side of the casing and are the result of irregularities inside the walls of the firing chamber. So again, these are just some different patterns that you might see in the actual casing. So keep in mind the bullet's going to have marks. That's a great place to look, but also do not forget about looking at the actual casing as well for different marks. They have breech face marks. This is where this kind of bolt face signature where that end kind of comes in contact when the explosion occurs. And when the firearm's discharged, this kind of rearward movement or recoil is a result of the pressure being generated in the bullet going out the barrel, but this is coming back. And you can see there's also some distinctive patterns that can be left. This action at the base of the cartridge will hit the breech of the firearm, leaving a mark that can be categorized. This can, again, help you match up the potential firearm that fired that bullet, or that, in this case, this particular casing. Looking specifically at the bullet, there'll be striations. I mentioned that rifling in the barrel. There's going to be striations left on that bullet. This acts as the gun's fingerprint. Even the same make and model of firearm will produce distinct striations. This pattern will typically hold true even over time. So it's really important that when you recover the bullet, you don't do a lot of physical damage to it, because these very distinctive striations are kind of like the fingerprint to that gun. As I mentioned, there's lands and grooves. Those lead to the rifling. So it's important that the lands are the raised portions between the grooves inside the barrel after the spiral grooves cut into and produce the rifling. Now, exactly how they're oriented or how they're tilted can tell you if it's a right twist or a left twist of that bullet, which again can help you match up the potential barrel or firearm to the bullet that it was fired from. These unique characteristics, so the number of lands and grooves, usually 4 to 6, but can range from 2 to 22. Just the number can help you, again, match them up. The diameter of the lands and grooves is something you want to look at. The width of the lands, the depth of the lands and grooves, degree of the twist. Twist is the number of inches the bore is required to complete a rifling spiral, and you want to be kind of using a comparison of a known and a kind of what was found at the crime scene. You can see here these kind of matching occurs typically with a comparison microscope because it is really done on the detail level. So again, these are just some unique characteristics to help you kind of identify or match up kind of the fingerprint, if you will, of the gun or barrel to the particular bullet found at the crime scene.
Now, after watching this little video, I totally get it now why that cartridge that Mangena was claimed to have taken from the scene was removed from the scene. Because if he had left that cartridge on the scene, he'd have to package it and he'd have to match it. He'd have to also bring its test and he'd have to match it to the pistol that they are now alleging to be fired, to be the one that fired those bullets. Now, by bringing only the head of the bullet, his work is cut to half because he only has to prove one item. And with one item, it can be manipulated in any way he wanted it to be. But if the cartridge was there, that cartridge wouldn't match the cartridge that was coming from this pistol. Definitely. Now I get it why. After watching this video, I totally get it. Why a cartridge will be removed from the crime scene by an official. Allegedly, as Mr. Ramusipili said, and as it was put by Mr. Ramusipili, saying that Mr. Montweli, the captain or whoever, the policeman who was there, made that statement. So if he made that statement, he saw that. He made that statement. We can believe somebody who made a statement, not like these two, Dini and Foljun, who didn't make a statement. What can we take from? They didn't make a statement on the day that they were doing these things. They only come and make an affidavit 3 days before they come and testify. Please, guys, let me not take too much of a time. Please, I totally get it now. Why the cartridge had to be removed from the scene. He'd have to match two things now, and it will be a hell of a hill to climb. Peace, guys. One love.